Hey, what's going on, internet? This is Will. How are you guys doing today? I have a channel called The Will of Gaming. If this is your first time ever seeing this channel, be sure to subscribe. Oh, my microphone's there. You can hit subscribe by just clicking here, and then it'll take you to my channel, which you just hit the subscribe button, and there you go. Now, what you can be expecting from this channel is a bunch of things. I like to do a lot of Let's Plays. I'm going to start doing commentaries, now that I have this microphone and everything. So I'm going to start doing commentaries, face cam commentaries. I'm going to be doing possibly reviews in the future. They take a long time, though. So you'll get a review for a game that you would want maybe 3 months later. It's pretty bad. Then there's other things that you can look forward to. You can look forward to me talking about like the news and games while I'm playing gameplay. Like let's say I'm playing the beta for Battlefield or something, and I'm talking about news, about stuff that's in the video games world and things like that. So you can definitely check those out. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hi, my name is Will, and video games are my life. I'm a console gamer. I like to play a lot of PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Wii U. I grew up with all three of these companies throughout my life at some point. Nintendo plays a big part of my life due to the fact that it was the first console I've ever owned. It was a console that I definitely grew up with. I grew up as a Nintendo kid, not a Genesis kid, but a Nintendo kid. And it had a lot of games that I loved, like Donkey Kong Country series, The Killer Instinct, Banjo-Kazooie, Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Metroid. I can name a bunch of gazillion Nintendo games that I grew up with. I started gaming when I was 3 years old. At least that's when I remember I had a controller in my hands. And my sister was mostly the gamer, and then I just kind of filled in those shoes. She got bored of it after a while, and then I took over, and then I became a gamer throughout life. Super Mario Bros. 3 was my first feat that I conquered. I remember that I found the magic flute and all these other fantastic, wonderful little tricks to get through the game quicker and things like that. And beating the 8th world and beating Bowser, and then I beat the game once a whole time through, I guess a few years later. So it was really fantastic growing up with all that. I just loved everything about video games. I finally got into the PlayStation era. Around 1997 is when I got my first PlayStation. Actually, it was 1997. I didn't get PlayStation until like 2001. Yeah. I was very late into the PlayStation game. I had an N64 at the time, and I just, my mom wasn't going to get me another console at the time. She's like, no, there's no difference. It's the same thing. So PlayStation, I got really into. I played Dragon Ball Z Final Bout, which is what really made me want to get it. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, Resident Evil 2, Parappa the Rapper, Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and Warped. There's a bunch of fantastic games on the PlayStation 1. Eventually, I saved up half of my money, $150, I remember, because PlayStation 2 was $300. My friend, who is still my friend to this day, had a PlayStation 2. I didn't know that PlayStation 2 was out at this point. I didn't know. I thought it was a rumor. I didn't think it was true. So I decided, okay, well, let me go check this out. This is actually how we became friends. Anyway, it's a long story, but anyways, I went to his house and he showed me Grand Theft Auto 3. My mind was blown. I was playing Final Fantasy 7 for the first time at this point. But to see these graphics, compared to that, and see these graphics, because he had a demo disc for Final Fantasy X, and I played that, I'm like, my jaw just dropped. I just couldn't believe how freaking amazing it was. I also played Zone of the Enders. I also played a gazillion other different types of games. It was just It was fantastic. And I just couldn't, and then since we couldn't afford games, he had a PlayStation subscription and he would always get all these games. And then I had a friend, Warren, who would always, you know, come over to my house to sleep over. He showed me Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and he was so good. And I was so jealous because I could never even beat him at all. Even with cheats on, I couldn't beat him. It was freaking amazing. Eventually I got one of my own, Final Fantasy X and Zone of the Enders were my first 2 games on it, and I remember it was a fantastic system. I loved it. Every game I got, Jak and Daxter 2 and 3, Ratchet and Clank series, the Prince of Persia series, the Shadow of the Colossus, Ico. Oh my god, there were so many. Final Fantasy X, the Kingdom Hearts series. I can go on forever on PlayStation as well. There was also like Tekken and all this other stuff. I was just so amazed with PlayStation 2. Then eventually, the 3rd generation came in, and by this time I had a job, so I was able to get, well, not really yet, but I got all 3 consoles the following generation. I also had the Nintendo GameCube. I also had the Xbox and stuff like that. Eventually I got into those stuff. But PlayStation 2 was my console at that time. And then I wanted PlayStation 3 because I loved PlayStation 2 so much. But then Xbox 360 became my main console because Gears of War and Fable 2 and all these big games were out at the time. And online gaming was just so much better on it. I got PlayStation like about 5 months after it came out. And, you know, there was no games on it for like 2 years that I was interested in that Xbox didn't already get. So I was like so into it. And I also got the Wii, and the Wii was really, really fun. And I had a blast, major blast with all these games. And then we're in the current generation where I own all 3 consoles, all launch day consoles. And so far, you know, it's not the greatest, you know, generation that I've jumped into. Normally I jumped into gaming consoles later on in the cycle, so all these great games were out already. But now being a launch console owner really kind of sucks. You really have to wait a while before something good actually does happen. But you know what? I'm not even really upset. It's nice to have these consoles right now, and just to be able to play, you know, the latest and greatest games, you know, from the beginning, and you anticipate the next greatest game. So anyways, that's my story as a gamer. Sorry that this was so long, but I just love games. Games are my life. I love everything absolutely about them. The fact that you can be a hero or a villain, the fact that you can be whatever you want. It takes 2 of the greatest forms of media. No, 3. It takes books, it takes movies, and it takes music, and combines it together and then adds interaction into it. And then you got those 4 things into one thing, and that's a video game right there. Like, video game. There's nothing like a controller, your legs up, playing games on a big screen TV. Back then, there was nothing like being wired to a controller, to your console, being close to the TV, and making a 13-inch to 17-inch TV look like it was gigantic and massive. You know, online gaming, and just the fact that the possibilities are endless when it comes to video games. And I'm excited. I'm just excited to keep growing with video games. And I hope you guys, as viewers, will grow with me as well. I plan on playing a bunch of different games. I can't guarantee you I'm going to play the latest and greatest of every great game, but I can tell you that eventually I will play games that I personally enjoy, and if I have the games that you recommend. So, if you guys are interested in all that, be sure to subscribe to The Will of Gaming. So, and like every video that you watch, and everything that you find interesting about me. I guess, if you want to. So I'm going to end this video with one thing. Live life the way you know how to live it. And with that, take it as you will. Bye. For playthroughs, gaming news, reviews, commentary, and rants, be sure to rate, comment, share, and subscribe to The Will of Gaming.
Taxi!